Okay.
Just to give everybody a little bit of elbow room.
Yeah. Do I need like something better than that, the typical shell run processor? Do I have to jump up?
I'm running a Core M3 on this machine, and it is plenty fast for the stuff I'm doing. Now, obviously, it depends a lot on what you're doing, obviously. But yeah, this works really quite well, I have to say, quite well indeed. And so you should be able to run pretty much any Python utility. That is to say, not a massive. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to run your entire business with Python code, you're going to want at least a very high-end Chromebook. And at that point, you might as well get yourself a Linux desktop or rather laptop. But for most code, you can easily run it on a Chromebook without any trouble at all.
Great. All right. Yeah, I was doing a little web server, and I have a temperature gauge, and it's on a Raspberry Pi and runs a web server, and I can see the temperature on my phone anywhere in the house, whatever.
Yeah, that would.
So
as long as that temperature gauge thing is USB, so that it'll connect into the Chromebook, and you've got the drivers for it, written in Python or whatever, you're good to go.
Okay. All right. That's my question, I guess.
There you go. That's your answer.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dave. Have fun.
And you still haven't gotten the 400 yet?
Shut up. I know. I'm waiting now. I've decided I want to wait for the 8 gig model.
The 500.
The 500. I want to wait for an 8 gig model. It's a 4 gig model, and every time I get that lust, I cool it by saying, waiting for the 8 gig model. Do I need 8 gig? Oh, heck no. I'm not even using the 4. I'm not using 8 gig in my Chromebook. In my
one of my Pis I want to strip down, and because right now I've got it running off an SD card.
Yeah.
I'm going to convert it now and format an SSD hard drive.
Yep.
And have it run right off of that, because that's even faster.
Yep. There are hats you can add to pretty much any Raspberry Pi to do that.
Because, and I mean, they've added so many other features now to the latest version of ARM that it's, I'm going to look at that.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. The, like I said, I've
Ken, where you coming from?
Really, I've lusted after the Raspberry Pi 4. There is no other word for it. Do I need one? No. That has nothing to do with lust. Nothing whatsoever to do with lust. I want one, and I have so far at least managed to cool my jets.
You're making your existing Pis jealous. I mean, that's the problem is that the current one is never enough. You always need the next one.
Well, I don't know what I did, but because I've got 2 Raspberry Pi 4s, so they're the same, and but one of them, when they're both hooked up to this little hub. And the one is running, only 100 megabit versus the other's running gigabit.
Yep.
And I don't know what I did to one versus the other, because I loaded the same operating system on both. But I did something to mess one of them up that it's only running 100.
I think you have to tell it you've got gigabit.
Well, you can go into, when it first boots, you got to hit the escape. And you got to go into the menus there in Pi to change until it use the gig,
right,
4 gig limit, and then also the screen size,
right.
So I got it, but I thought, what the heck? I'm gonna just move those few files that I have on it right now over to the other Pi, and take this hard drive and just format it with Raspbian,
and just do it,
load it right onto that and run it off of that.
Yep.
See how it works.
Makes sense to me.
Yep.
All right, back to the phones. Our next caller is Ken from Rochester, New York. What's up, Ken?
Hi, fellas. It's good to speak with you again, and thank you again for doing the show.
Thank you. What can we do for you?
Well, I called you a while back, and Nick, primarily gave me the information, but you all gave me a little bit of everything. I was trying to create a multiple boot session and you gave me first choice was Extended Operating System Loader, XOSL. I looked into that, and I was very grateful that the information at the very beginning of the informational clearly stated if you don't have a fairly if you don't really have an in-depth understanding of Linux, you might struggle.
Right.
So I quickly moved on to VirtualBox.
Yep.
And I looked at that, and I decided, you know what, this looks really great. I looked at the documentation, and I'll tell you, I'm a document type of guy.
Yep.
I was pretty blown away. I mean, detail is anybody who wants to see detail, just look at the documentation that comes with Virtual Machine.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, so I started looking into it, and I said, okay, let's try this. So I was thinking about trying to install it. And, their documentation was so detailed that I couldn't really find the right way to do it. So I went out on the web, and I did find some information, and I did it. And I'm still in the process of tinkering with it, with loading Linux ISO. And I've got that part all squared away pretty much. But I had two questions. One was, I noticed the choice for VirtualBox shows up not only in my admin side of Windows, but it shows up in the, the guest account.
Right.
Is it advantageous to use, say, one of the VirtualBox OSs, on the, non-administrator side?
Well, in general, you should never use the administrator account for anything except administering the box.
Okay.
So you should always be running as a standard user, not necessarily a guest, but as a standard user. And in that particular setup, then there's no reason not to run VirtualBox there. Once you've set it up as an admin and given access to everybody, which it looks like you've already done, you should be able to run it as any person, and that person should be able to run a set of their own virtual machines.
Okay, so what you're saying is it's safer than, say, if I were just to use straight up Windows in that account.
It is always safer to not be the admin.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, we're talking about now not being on the admin side. We're on, the other user.
Right.
I keep forgetting the name of it.
It doesn't matter. You can call them anything. You can add as many users as you want. The point is, if you are running VirtualBox as that other user, you are doubly safe. It is very hard for stuff to jump out of VirtualBox into the real world, and it is then doubly hard for it to jump from a regular user to the admin.
You nailed it.
There we go.
That's what I was trying to ascertain. So that was all good, and I wanted to again mention to Dave. You're always talking about how this system or that system on the web has, Google or whatnot for free storage based on what you're doing, and how now they're starting to charge. And I have to quote a famous guy by the name of Mr. Dave Enright, who always says, folks, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Sooner or later, I think it always catches up to us.
Yeah, You're absolutely right.
Yep.
Yeah, so...
Google's been using the free photo storage to train its object recognition library so it can do captures on you.
Right, exactly.
Click all the traffic signs. I did. No, you didn't. Yes, I did.
Yes, I did. One of the things and what's interesting is, how sometimes you get two sets? Mm-hmm. That first set, they know where all the traffic signs are. The second set, you're teaching them. So even if you get it wrong, you get in.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ken, that's where also, that's why we've been encouraging folks to play around with Raspberry Pis.
Okay.
Right now, they are so inexpensive. They're fun to play with. And just like you followed these other instructions, setting up a Raspberry Pi, there are so many videos out there right now. We've been talking about ARM. ARM is a version of Windows 10. And then they also have another version called Twister that looks like and has the feel of Windows, and it already installs LibreOffice and everything else. So you've got these other little boxes that you can hook up SSD drives to and create your own little servers right off the side that, again, like we've always said, backup, backup, backup. You never have enough backups. I've literally got 4 different places now that I back stuff up to. Is it redundant as us all get out? Probably. But you know what? If anything crashes, I don't worry because I can go to one of my sources and I've got it. And it's so inexpensive. It's so inexpensive. It would be foolish not to spend that type of money to protect it because it's important to me.
Right. And Ken, for somebody like you who's looking to play with Linux, having something like a Raspberry Pi separates it from Windows so that it's it's safe because it's not even on your Windows system.
Yep.
And you can buy a full Raspberry Pi 400 for $100 with a keyboard and a mouse. All you need to do now is plug it into a monitor, and you can. And many people plug it into most monitors nowadays have 2 HDMI ports, and you just switch the input when you want to go on the other machine.
Yeah.
So you don't even have to buy a new monitor, just a monitor cable. And so, when you graduate from VirtualBox to wanting to put it on its own machine, take a look at a Raspberry Pi, even the Raspberry Pi 400 or the 4. Either one would be fine.
Yeah, and like I say, under $100.
Yeah, well,
I'll take that back. About $150
if you're gonna get a monitor.
All in, if you want to go all in.
Well, you know something. Every time you guys speak about these things, I do go out and do a little research, like the 100, or is it the 400?
400.
The 400 is the one with the keyboard
that Nick's getting pretty soon.
Well, I started with a VIC-20, so I'm familiar with a keyboard.
There you go.
Didn't we all?
But I'll tell you, Nick, every time you two guys start convincing, I see this picture of Nick standing on the side of a swimming pool, and he keeps putting his toe in it. No, this just isn't. It's not quite right yet. And David's like, "Come on, man, jump in the pool."
I know. I'm looking at it now. The Raspberry Pi 400 kit at Canakit. Canakit.com, CANAKIT.com.
Well, like
$100 for the keyboard with the computer in it, a 16 gig SD card. It's got 4 gig of RAM. It comes with a mouse. It comes with the power supply. It comes with the HDMI cable.
Just get it instead of the SD drive. Get an SSD hard drive. Yeah, plenty of storage.
Well, I'm saying if you're just playing, if you're just learning, you can get in for $100.
Oh yeah.
And then if you want to add, and if you scroll down, you can see they've got a 500 gig hard drive for $85.
Yeah.
Well, duh.
Oh yeah. No. It's so inexpensive, but you can have fun with it, learn a heck of a lot of stuff, and create something that is very useful.
Yep.
And it didn't spend hundreds of dollars. And if it messes up, I'll just redo it. It's not that hard.
Yep.
No, I think anybody who's familiar with computers, especially hardware, will realize that those numbers alone are advantageous to look into it for anyone, including myself. When I get to a point to where I've got a lot of machines, so I'm not running out of places to play, but I will in the future. I'll probably go more towards the kind you're using now, which is a separated box versus a keyboard, because it fascinates me. I'm thinking, it brings back memories of the old VIC-20.
Actually, I tend to do remote desktop into my Pi 4s, so I really don't need a keyboard, a mouse, because I just do remote desktop, and so
I'm using 5 Raspberry Pis.
Yeah.
I don't know, Nick. I see on that I see. You're going to jump in, man.
I am. I got my toe in the water, but I'm looking at that diving board and edging over to it. I get it.
Well,
Yeah. I hear it more and more in your voice. And Dave is so smart. He just kind of inches you there. You know?
He does.
I'm there
the
behind.
instigator. He's
See,
behind
I got to get back at him for that one day.
Oh, how is that my fault? I offered to call
told
you at 11 o'clock.
I told you you will pay. You will.
I
pay.
offered to call you at 11 p.m. so you would go to bed. Do not blame me.
Pay back some.
Yeah, I know that. All right. Thanks a lot, Ken. We appreciate it.
All right, you too. Thank you, and you guys have a splendid day.
Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
I'm not taking the rap for this. All right, that music tells me that mercifully we're done for another show.
Yeah, baby.
I want to thank everybody who called in, and as I said, we do prefer that you call in rather than text in because we make sure we get all the information we need to properly answer your question. But I want to thank Dave Enright. I don't know, maybe I don't want to thank. I definitely want to thank Steve Ray. And I'm, as long as you're off camera, and I'm Nick Francesco. You've been listening to the longest running computer show in the known universe. That's Sound Bytes right here on the Truly Great, and truly grateful to you that with your generous, kind assistance, we remain public-supported Jazz 90.1. We will be back next week, so be good to one another. Stay safe, stay cool, and we will see you in just 166 hours.
This is 90.1 WGMC Greece Rochester, a public service of the Greece Central School District.
The following is a paid program. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of WGMC.